Hello students, so today we are going to start one new chapter from biology, that is improvement in food resources. So our new chapter is improvement in food resources. So the name of the chapter, you can easily understand what we are going to discuss in this chapter, isn't it? So improvement, we are going to learn about the improvement techniques in the food resources. Resources means the waste through which we can get the food. Now the question is, why do we need to use the techniques, or why do we need the improvement in food resources? Yes, because as we all know, India is the most populated country. Day by day population is increasing in India, and hence as the population increases, the food requirement will also be increases. So hence, but the land will be of the limited. So we need to see for the techniques through which we can improve, we can raise more food, but in the same or limited area of land. So hence in this chapter we will see what are the problems that we are facing because of the increased population, and what are the techniques that we can overcome to reduce the insufficient supply of the food resources. So we will see how we can improve the ways of getting food resources. So in this, the first sub-content will be improvement in crop yields. So we will see crops. Crops are nothing but the food substances which are grows in specific area. Okay, that is called kheti. Okay, same kind of food materials or plants will be grown in a specified area, that is called crops. So we will see improvement in crop yields, how we can improve the crop yields. In that sub we can see, we will study about three-step process. That is, first is crop variety improvements, how we can improve variety of crops. Next, crop production improvement. So we will also learn about the improvement of the crop production, how we can increase the production productivity. Okay, that is quantity. Next, crop protection management. Here is a crop production, that means crop raising of crops. We will here we will learn about the improvement of raising more crops, and in this we will learn about the protection of protecting about the crops. Okay, so first we will learn about variety improvements. First we will see for overall about the how many kinds of variety of crops can be produced and at what level. Then how much crop production will be improved, and next how can we protect that raised crops, that we are going to learn. So in this crop first, if here it is the crop variety improvement. In this crop variety improvement, we will see about the 5 steps. That is, first is higher yield. So we will see this process, higher yield. Next, biotic and abiotic resistance. Biotic means living substances. Okay, the substances which possess life. Abiotic means the substances which are not living but they are necessary for the living organisms. Okay, abiotic means they are non-living but physical factors which are necessary for the living organisms. Okay, biotic, bio means life, it is the living. Abiotic means it is the non-living physical factors. Okay, for biotic you can take the examples of we human beings, animals, plants, birds, etc. And abiotic means sunlight, rain, water, wind, temperature. All these will come under abiotic. They are non-living but they are very much necessary for the living organisms. Next, so change in the maturity duration. Here maturity means regarding the crops. Okay. Next, wider adaptability. How can adapt the crops in a wide way? Desirable agronomic characteristics of different crops. Afterwards, we shall, so all these 5 subtopics it will come under crop variety improvements. Next, we shall learn about the crop production improvement. So in this, there are many more processes. The first process we will cover in this class, that is about the nutrient management. So crop production, crop producing of crops and how to management will involve the first step of nutrient management. So in this nutrient we will see about water manures, how they are useful for the crop production, and water fertilizers, how they are utilized for the crop production, and you will also see what is meant by organic farming. So first note down these points at one page in your explanation book. Then next carry on about the explanation writing process step by step. So but you have to listen it carefully and you have to understand it very well. Note down the points and listen carefully, students.
Introduction. Do you know that all living organisms need food? It supplies carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals, all nutrients which we require for the growth, development and health of our body. We get food from plants and animals, and this is obtained either from agriculture or animal husbandry. Shruti, our scientists are busy in efforts to improve production from agriculture and animal husbandry. Yes, this is because India is a very populous country and population is more than 1 billion people and is still growing. To feed this growing population, we need more than 250 million tons of grain every year. To increase this growing need, farming on more land will be required. But as our population is increasing, land for house and industry is also increasing. This in turn results in decrease in cultivable land. As a result, we do not have any major scope for increasing the area of land under cultivation. Therefore, it is necessary to increase our production efficiency for both crops and livestock. We have had two major revolutions for this demand. The Green Revolution, which contributed to increased food grain production. The White Revolution, which has led to better and more efficient use as well as availability of milk. Due to these revolutions, our natural resources are getting used more extensively. This is causing damage to our natural resources to the point of destroying their balance completely. Therefore, it is important that we should increase food production without degrading our environment and disturbing the balances maintaining it.
Objectives. So let us see what we are going to learn in this lesson. So at the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand the improvement in crop yields, find out crop variety improvement, understand the crop production management, understand the nutrient management, understand what manure is, and find out properties of fertilizers. So understand the irrigation process, find out cropping patterns, understand the crop protection management, and study the methods for storage of grains. Now let us see the first subtopic, improvement in crop yields. We all know that cereals such as wheat, rice, maize, millets and sorghum provide us carbohydrate for energy requirement. Similarly, pulses like gram, that is chana, pea, that is mutton, black gram, urad, green gram means moong, pigeon pea, that means arhar, lentil, that means mansoor, provide us with protein. While some oil seeds like soya bean, groundnut, sesame, castor, mustard, linseed and sunflower provide us with necessary fats. Likewise, fruits, vegetables, spices provide a range of vitamins and minerals in addition to small amounts of proteins, carbohydrates and fats. For animals, some fodder crops like birdseed, oats or Sudan grass are raised as food. So let us see the difference between Rabi and Kharif crops. Do you know that different crops require different climatic conditions, temperature and photo periods for their growth and completion of their life cycle? We have already studied that the growth of plants are dependent on climate. There are some crops which are grown in rainy seasons called the Kharif season from the month of June to October, and paddy, soybean, pigeon pea, maize, cotton, green gram and black gram are Kharif crops. Some of the crops are grown in winter season and they are called the Rabi season from November to April. Wheat, gram, peas, mustard, linseed are all the examples for Rabi crops. In India, there has been a 4 times increase in the production of food grains from 1960 to 2004, with only 25% increase in the cultivable land area. Farming practices can be divided into 3 stages. The first is the choice of seeds for planting. The second is the nurturing of the crop plants. And the third is the protection of the growing and harvested crops from loss. Thus, the major groups of activities for improving crop yields can be classified as crop variety improvement, crop production improvement, and crop protection management. So let us see the first crop variety improvement. Crop variety that can give a good yield is selected from varieties of strains of crops by breeding for various useful characteristics such as disease, resistance, response to fertilizers, product quality, and high yields. First method of incorporating desirable characters into crop varieties is by hybridization. Now, what is in the hybridization? So, hybridization refers to crossing between genetically dissimilar plants. Hybridization may be intervarietal, that is between different varieties, or interspecific, that is between 2 different species of the same genus, or even intergeneric, that is between different genera. You can see the examples here, students. Second method of improving the crop is by introducing a gene that would provide the desired characteristic. Introduction results in genetically modified crops. Cultivation practices and crop yield depend on weather, soil quality, and availability of water. Since weather conditions such as drought and flood situations are unpredictable, varieties that can be grown in diverse climatic conditions and tolerant to high soil salinity have been developed are useful. So, factors for crop variety improvement. There are various factors for which there is need for crop variety to be improved. Some of these factors are higher yield, that is to increase the productivity of the crop per acre, crop varieties is to be improved. Improved quality. Quality of crop products vary from each and every crop. Baking quality is important in wheat, protein quality in pulses, oil quality in oilseeds, and preserving quality in fruits and vegetables. Biotic and abiotic resistance. Crop production can go down due to various biotic and abiotic stresses under different situations. So, improved varieties for these biotic like diseases, insects, and nematodes, and abiotic like drought, salinity, heat, waterlogging, cold, and frost resistant can improve crop production. Change in maturity duration. To reduce the cost of crop production, new varieties with short duration has to be developed. Uniform maturity makes the harvesting process easy and reduces losses during harvesting. Wider adaptability. There is need to develop the varieties which can survive under different environmental conditions. Desirable agronomic characteristic. For fodder crops, plants should be tall and profusely branched, while in cereal, dwarfness is desired so that these crops consume less nutrient. Thus, developing varieties of desired agronomic characters help give higher productivity. Now let us look for the crop production management. In India, there are small to very large farms. Small farmers have less land, money, and access to information and technologies than big farmers. There is a correlation between higher inputs and yields. The financial condition of farmers decides purchasing capacity for inputs, which in turn decides cropping system and production practices. Therefore, production practices can be at different levels. No cost production, low cost production, and high cost production practices. So the first is nutrient management. Plants requires nutrients for growth and development. There are 16 nutrients which are essential for plants. Nutrients are supplied to plants by air, water, and soil. Air supplies carbon and oxygen, hydrogen comes from water, and soil supplies the other 13 nutrients to plants. So you can see the 13 nutrients to the right of the video. Amongst these 13 nutrients, 6 are required in large quantities and are therefore called macronutrients. The other 7 nutrients are used by plants in small quantities and are therefore called micronutrients. Deficiency of these nutrients affects physiological processes in plants, including reproduction, growth, and susceptibility to diseases. To increase the yield, the soil can be enriched by supplying these nutrients in the form of manure and fertilizers. So what is in the manure now? Manure contains large quantities of organic matter and also supplies small quantities of nutrients to the soil. Manure is prepared by decomposition of animal excreta and plant waste. Manure helps in enriching soil with nutrients and organic matter and increasing soil fertility and the soil structure. So manure increases the water holding capacity in sandy soils. In clay soils, the large quantities of manure allow drainage and avoid waterlogging problems. In using manure, we use biological waste material, which is advantageous in protecting our environment from excessive use of fertilizers. Using biological waste material is also a way of recycling farm waste. Based on the kind of biological material used, manure can be classified as compost, vermicompost, and green manure. So compost means the compost is rich in organic matter and nutrients. It is prepared from waste materials of farm like cow dung, domestic waste, sewage waste, straw, eradicated weeds, etc., which is decomposed in a pit. Whereas vermicompost, compost prepared by using earthworms to hasten the process of decomposition of plant and animal refuse, is called vermicompost. And green manure, before sowing the crop seeds, some plants like sun, hemp, or guar are grown and then mulched by plowing them into soil. These green plants thus turn into green manure, which helps in enriching the soil in nitrogen and phosphorus. Now let us see for fertilizers. Fertilizers are commercially produced plant nutrients. They supply nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. They are used to ensure good vegetative growth, that is, leaves, branches, and flowers, giving rise to healthy plants. Fertilizers are a factor in the higher yields of high-cost farming. Fertilizers should be applied carefully in terms of proper dose, time, and observing pre and post application precautions for their complete utilization. Due to excessive irrigation, fertilizers get washed away and are not fully absorbed by the plants. This excess fertilizers then leads to water pollution. Continuous use of fertilizers in an area can destroy soil fertility because the organic matter in the soil is not replenished and microorganisms in the soil are harmed by the fertilizers used. Short-term benefits of using fertilizers and long-term benefits of using manure for maintaining soil fertility have to be considered while aiming for optimum yields in crop production. Organic farming. Organic farming is a farming system with minimal or no use of chemicals or fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, etc., and with a maximum input of organic manure, recycled farm waste, that is straw, and livestock excreta, use of bioagents such as culture of blue-green algae in preparation of biofertilizers. Neem leaves or turmeric specifically in grain storage as biopesticides with healthy cropping systems. These cropping systems are beneficial in insect, pest and weed control besides providing nutrients. Okay student, that was about today's class. The further content, that is the next continuation part after this. First is nutrient management, the second will come irrigation. So that from irrigation we will continue in the next class. Thank you.